question.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been reading the acceptance book,
Mm-hmm.
and just noticing a lot more when I'm in acceptance and when I'm not in acceptance, and when I'm the difference between liking or not liking what's going on and thinking it shouldn't be that way, and the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess asking questions around sometimes I seem to have the ability to, like if I notice I'm in a lot of personal angst, concern, taking things personally, bondage of self.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can kind of shift into gratitude and sometimes not.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I would say the sense of like guilt or shame or personal judgment around like not doing it good enough is diminishing. I've been just feeling more in acceptance, like this is what's happening and this is where it's at, and if it were supposed to be different in this moment, it would be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which also seems to take the intensity of my judgment off other people, that they are somehow slacking or just not quite up to,
Maybe.
It's still pretty strong though, this idea of like, these people are a lot less conscious, and I don't want to hang out with those people because they're just asleep, versus this feels more vibrant and real and stimulating.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question's about it's the same freaking question. It just morphs itself over and over in different ways around.
Pretty much.
Is there some personal efforting or responsibility or
that's the question.
Right.
Are you powerless or not? That's the question. First step. That's the question. And it is very much complicated by the fact that we do have power of all kinds. We have incredible powers to do things. So the claim that those powers are fundamentally ours is really where the focus has to keep coming back to. Because the question is not, can I choose things? Of course you can. When you can. That's obvious. But we're always pointing deeper as to what is it that enables you to do what you do when you do it, and then other times not. What's at play? And when there's guilt and shame, then that is the indicator that the sense is that I'm responsible. That the buck stops like right here in this body-mind mechanism. That's the end-all point. And in this teaching we ask, is that true? Is the body-mind apparatus the end point? Or is it simply an aspect of something vastly bigger? So we come back to the question of What are you?
Yeah, the question that keeps coming up is like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing more? Should I, if only I were just a little more organized or ambitious or focused or whatever, then I'd be offering my gifts in a more significant, beneficial way.
So the two key words there are if and should. If you were different, then yeah, you'd be different. And should implies that there is some absolute measure against which you are measured, and that you are responsible ultimately for how you are, and that you can thus somehow from your own power transform yourself. So those are the premises on which all of that thinking is built. And we point at the premise and say, is that the premise true?
So maybe in the moment, the best is like a prayer, like show me, guide me, direct me. Maybe that helps.
What helps? I don't know.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but and sometimes something helps.
Right.
And you may find in the moment something that is helpful and beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm. Is there like there's getting what you want and not getting what you want, and like something underneath that where there's a restfulness, like an all is well, like underneath that, even in the midst of that. I mean, is that what you would say is like the sage experience?
It's not the sage experience, it's what the sage is.
That's what the sage is.
But you're focused on the experience.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And it's not about the experience. The experience is always dualistic. This experience always goes from peacefulness to discontent or disquiet. That's the nature of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And this notion of you're going to abide experientially in some kind of peace, which is not only a prevalent notion, but it's the most desirable kind of wish.
Right.
That you will experience bliss all the time.
Right.
And there are no shortage of people willing to sell you that vision in a variety of ways. You just didn't happen to land in one of them.
So you said that's what the sage is. Can you? That's it?
That's it.
Is it like that you experience all kinds of emotions, both negative and positive all the time, but you're not attached to them without this sense of false authorship, right? But emotions come and go.
Yes.
Well,
that's being alive as a human being. And I am alive as a human being.
Even negative ones.
If there's going to be positive ones, there will be negative.
But do you express them like openly? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It's okay to express negative emotions.
It's not a matter of being okay or not okay. The one to whom I'm expressing it probably doesn't feel it's okay. It's not okay to them. And they may retaliate.
Sometimes when I express my negative emotions unconsciously,
Mhm.
I mean, it comes automatically. I feel like I'm feeding something that is not beneficial for my strategic development.
Well, that's the claim of authorship, that you're feeding it. I mean, you're right that it's not beneficial for your, overall peace of mind to be, spewing out venom and creating crap.
Like, there's
But
no
I mean,
point,
it's
right?
what?
There's no point in spitting venom and creating. I'd rather like keep it inside.
Well, then you have venom and crap inside. I mean, it's. I don't have a solution for that. I only point to what is. That's all we're doing here. Saying we are, as human beings, constituted, most of us, to exhibit a broad range of emotions and behaviors. And they have positive and negative impacts on others and the world, according to our standards of what is positive and negative. That's what's happening. And when we observe what's happening and we go, when I do this, I get a bunch of crap back in my life. I don't feel good about myself. Other people react negatively to me. I would just as soon not exhibit that behavior, not get a bunch of crap back at me, and not feel bad. Makes perfect sense. The question is, what empowers you to be able to control that or not? If it's you, do it. Full stop, no problem, do it. But if there's something else at play, then you might want to look at that. Like what's actually responsible, what's going on.
This is a very important question for me because I would love to express it, whatever comes, honestly and naturally. But there's so many fears and conditioning from all around that comes in play, and you cannot distinguish like, should I do that or should I not do that? And yeah, but I wish it was all natural and honest.
It is. That's what the teaching is pointing to. It is. It is natural. You're naturally a jerk sometimes. It is the most natural thing on the planet. You have been formulated by vast universal forces and stimulated by vast universal forces in the moment to be a real jerk. You're acting totally in accordance with in the same way that the planets circle the sun. you are being a jerk. The same forces responsible for that is responsible for that. That's what we're pointing at.
Just enjoy being a jerk.
No, it's not. You don't enjoy being a jerk. If you're enjoying it, you're not really being a jerk.
So good.
What's coming up for me is in a way, the edge of what I am. You're mentioning vast universal forces, right? Conditioning, the movement of the planet, and me being a jerk in a moment, or manifesting whatever emotion is expressing as a result of everything from the motion of the planet to evolution of life on Earth until this moment, to what I just ate, or like, did I sleep enough, my blood sugar level, my conditioning, like was I bullied or not at school, like, and the notion of being separate and having responsibility is kind of forgetting most of it and pulling what I am, like, something very limited. But as you're speaking, I'm seeing how that notion or feeling of what I am is totally flexible and totally expansive, and it could be all of that. And then, if it's all of that, yeah, I'm making choices, but they're tied to Saturn and the moon and that black hole that we just took a picture of. In ways I probably can't feel, but you know, there are many things that I am aware of, like, okay, the conditioning, the blood sugar, did I get enough sleep? Do I have to pee right now very, very much? And that's why I'm driving at 90 miles per hour, right? And it's just a kind of a different sense of being,
Yes.
Do you have anything to say to that? Like, is that in any way connected to the teaching or mentioned in the teaching as a pointer or anything like that?
Say that that is a very concise summary of what I've been talking about
Okay.
in all the times
Right.
that you've been here.
Okay.
I mean, not a summary, but an internalization or an expression
Okay. All right.
of that. And so the seeing that, and so you're using terms that we're familiar with here
Yeah.
to point to that. But that sense that you're using the terms to point to is really what the teaching is pointing to.
Okay. Because, I mean, it's just like dawning on me as a sense,
Yeah,
not as an intellectual.
that's an example.
It's very cool.
It is.
And it actually includes other people. Like, includes pretty, like. Okay.
Yeah, everything includes everything.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing that's present for me is the sense of trying to control or not trying to control.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have a friend who rode some kind of weird ride at Six Flags or whatever. He was riding it in like 2 seats next to a kid.
Mhm.
And he said that he himself was like kind of holding onto the ride. Like he was like,
Mhm.
imagine the thing that like
Yeah.
throws your body in unimaginable
Right.
ways. And so he was like holding himself on the bracket, like
Right.
whatever is holding you in place in the seat.
Mhm.
And the kid next to him was screaming in abandon, and he was completely relaxed.
Uh-huh.
Like he was not making any attempt to hold himself or tighten himself in the face of this, I guess near-death experience, right? From perspective of the body.
Mhm.
And so we're like, wow, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Because that's, for me, that's kind of the edge, right? Am I like the cat like you're trying to give a bath to, and she's like, no freaking way, right?
Mhm.
Or can I just relax? And one of these is torturous, and one of these is like very nice.
Yeah. So obviously you're going to pick the very nice one if you have such a choice
Yeah.
to make.
But where's the button?
Yeah, where's the button?
And that's what everyone's looking for, the magic button that will enable me to get what I want.
Distinguish.
No, get what I want. I mean, you distinguish for the purpose of getting what you want.
Yeah. But you just said, hey guys, there's lots of people who are selling you the button, but not likely you're going to find it in this room, like you just said it a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right. I didn't say you're not likely to find what you're looking for in this
Right.
room. That may well happen.
Right.
But what is not being offered
Right.
is a button to push to get it. What's going to happen? I have no idea.
But it seems like we all know we have that button. Because if we were never getting ever there in the place that we want, ever,
Mhm.
then we wouldn't seek for it. So it's that constant back and forth of losing track or losing it, and then wanting to the control. Maybe it's the control of, you know, the judgment, the control that we lose, but we have it. We know because we get there enough that we remember.
Yes.
So
But the button, when this metaphor of the button is that you are doing something that produces that consistently. You press, I mean, there is a button that you press and then you get that. We're not saying you don't get that. Yeah, you get that sometimes. And yes, there's buttons. What we're saying is the button connected to that. You can press the button 50 times, and on the 51st time, you get it. You go, ah, I got a button. I pressed it, and it happened. And as long as you ignore the 50 times that you pressed the button and it didn't happen, you're good.